Progress in running is not linear, and that is something I've had to accept here recently. I'm now halfway through the season, and even with my huge summer of training, I haven't even come close to my PR from last year. But despite that, even in this season of ups and downs, I've still learned more about running and myself than ever before. But before I talk about that, let me tell you how I got here.
Let's go, Gavin! Go, Gavin!
My season began in Florence, Alabama, where fresh off of summer training, I had big dreams about this race. But unfortunately, a bad pacing strategy led me to running over 20 seconds slower than the last time I ran this course, which I let tear my confidence apart. Instead of walking away from that race knowing that all the summer training had paid off, I was left wondering how I had managed to let down those who had been expecting big things from me. In hindsight, this mindset would cost me greatly in the following races. Coming into Tupelo, I was expecting something big to prove that Florence was just a fluke, that I was much faster than last year, and what better place to prove that than at a home meet? Well, that didn't happen. Following a hectic morning with the race being delayed for the weather, I lined up on the starting line feeling like I had to go out and PR to prove to everyone that I was just as fast as my training would have people think. But by the time I reached the first corner, any hope of that was gone. After a slow start, I got squeezed into the turn and was run into a rebar pole, which I then flipped over and lost my shoe in the process. Now instead of sticking with my teammates and chasing after a PR, I'm lying flat on the ground, frantically trying to get up and put my shoe back on. By the time I got up though, I'd already been stationary for almost 40 seconds. Ultimately, I would once again end up almost a minute off of PR, which I further allowed to wreck my confidence.
Come on, Gavin!
Florence was just a fluke, right? And Tupelo was completely out of my control, so it's not my fault, right? These were the questions I was faced with going into this race. Could I finally get my season back on track? Could I prove to my teammates that I was fast enough to benefit the team? Originally for this race, I was moved back to the JV race as I did not have a fast enough time for the season to be considered for the championship race. However, the day before, one of my teammates was injured, which led to me being moved up to the championship race that morning. Now suddenly, I have even more pressure on me to perform, most of which was self-imposed. So after surviving the start of the race and making it through the first 2 miles on pace to break 17:30, I thought all was good. But as usual this season, it wasn't. After climbing the hill at the 2 mile mark, I felt as if I had nothing left in me. My legs went lactic and suddenly I was falling backwards through the pack, getting passed left and right by other runners. And when I crossed the line, I was barely faster than I was at Tupelo, a race that I laid on the ground for almost a minute. I now found myself more beaten down than ever. When it mattered most, I couldn't handle the pressure, and now I felt like an imposter among my teammates. I also began to have doubts about whether or not I would even be able to PR this season, much less make the state team. But the only way to go from here is up, right?
Oh, Gavin! This looks like fun. Let's do this!
Even Ferrari couldn't have cooked up a strategy as bad as I did for this race. By race 4 of the season, I was now desperate to figure out how to improve my times, so I decided to go out in this race as hard as I could and try and bank time in the beginning. For anyone who has blown up after the first mile of the race, you'll know that there was almost no way that this was going to work. But in my delusion, I went for it anyway. I ended up splitting a 5:04 through the first mile, which is the second fastest time I've ever ran in the mile. But as to be expected, I quickly fell victim to rising lactate levels, and my pace dropped quickly. I ended up finishing this race in the 18:20, which was still a season best and gave me a confidence boost. I was finally heading in the right direction.
Gavin, kick it! Kick it!
This race would quickly become not only a turning point for this season, but one that will probably change how I view running forever. For this race, I was put on the JV team, freeing me from the pressure of having to beat teammates who were much faster than me, and for once, I went into a race feeling calm and relaxed. Lining up on the starting line on this dark night in Huntsville, I honestly never felt more excited to race before. I went out and ran my own race, focusing on holding a consistent pace and staying strong throughout the entire race. And when I crossed the finish line in a time of 18:30, I wasn't upset or beaten down by my time. Instead, I felt feelings of pride and joy. I had finally run a race that I could be proud of, and when I finished, I knew that I had given it my all, which was worth more to me than any time could be. Alright, so, in this season of ups and downs, what have I learned? Well, for one, progress in running is not linear. Especially in a sport like cross country, you can't allow yourself to be defined by the times that you run. If you can go out in a race and say that you have given it your all, I feel as if that is something you should be proud of, and that's definitely the mindset I want to have going forward. So as I go forward into the rest of this cross country season, I'm going to make sure to enjoy every moment of it. Because even though I'm not where I wanted to be, that is still okay.